We're going to conclude right now with a brief remark from our Administrative Director, Rabbi Moshe Schmerler. Moshe, please.
So I wasn't going to share this story with many people, but Rabbi Klass insisted, once I called him and asked him this question, that it might be very enlightening for a lot of people to see how our everyday life, together with what we do here in RABBONIS, intersect. And they're truly not two entities, even though we may use one name in business and one name in the RABBONIS, but at the end of the day, we're one individual. So I want to share a quick story. As many of you may not know, or may do know, besides doing the Igud RABBOnim, which Rabbi Klass says my full-time job is the Igud, and my part-time job, my side job, is being the CEO of a commercial solar company. So we are doing a tremendous project with the state of New York, and there's a tremendous incentive for commercial buildings to go solar. Starting June 1st, there's a pool of money, and we're able to access it. So for the past few weeks, we have a ton of customers ready to go forward, and needless to say, they say it's going to go live June 1st. We're all ready. And last week, what happens? We get an email. The state of New York is not ready. What a shock. But what happens? They give the new date for the program to go live on June 6th. We all know what June 6th is. It's Yontif Sheni. I start freaking out. I say, what am I going to do? I'm calling people to ask them shilas back and forth. And then one thing that came to my mind is, while I'm asking these shilas, let me try something else. So what we did as a company is we wrote a letter to the state, to the Public Service Commission, to everybody involved in here, and we said, June 6th is a Jewish holiday. And although you claim that this program is going to be open a minimum of 2 weeks, we know the reality. We've seen how these programs come about. They were not aware that from Yidden work in this part of the world, or in this division, or what Shavuos is. It's not one of the popular ones. They say they know the huts, they know the matzah, they know the Hanukkah candles, and everything you sell matzah for in the supermarkets. So they figured, what is this one in the middle of June? It's a random day. Well, needless to say, after speaking to the heads of the Public Service Commission, an email came out 2 hours later that they have now moved their start date from June 6th to June 7th. And the reason why Rabbi Klass wanted to share this with you is that although we do live in Gullus, we do live in a place where you don't always represent exactly what the same laws are, even though we have Judeo-Christian, philosophies in this country, which are based hopefully on Yiddishkeit with being Judeo-Christian, but sometimes the two don't always intersect. But if you trade true to yourself, true to Torah Judaism, what's going to end up happening? That something can be accomplished. So I just wanted to share this story with everybody to realize that when we think that something is not possible, but we go amongst the right way, and Rav Gil was talking about it. The way that Rabbi Sachs, Zecher Tzadik Kodesh L'Bracha, used to speak. He understood that there was two worlds, but they intersected with each other. And a Jew living in a modern world, even though his full-time job may be to work with RABBOnim and his part-time job may be the solar, but at the end of the day, by being and using this koyach, we were able to do it. So I just wanted to thank Rabbi Klass for enabling me to share this story, and hopefully this gives people a little bit of an understanding of saying, don't always think that everybody's against you and you can't change things. And that's been a philosophy and really what we talked about this morning. With one action, with one change, we're able to change the world. Have a good Yontif, everyone.
I would just like to add something, which I just realized. We're talking about change. Right now, I apologize for the Aguda and Torah Messiah have been pushing for everyone in Kahal Yisrael to send letters to the state of New York, to the state education department, that they should not intrude in our children's education. Children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, whatever. Friends, members of Kahal Yisrael, we need to make sure that the chinuch, the education of our children, remains intact and exactly according to the Messiah of Kahal Yisrael. So the letters, I know you can go to the Aguda site, or you can go to the Torah Messiah site. Maybe we should put it on ours as well. I think we did. I think you did. It is on the Igud site. how to get to the letter. You could sign on to the letter, or you could write your own. So in Yetz Hashem, we have to nip this in the bud, and because, as Reb Moshe Schmerler proved to us, we can do if we want. So,
Just for the, just to conclude, Rabbi Class is correct. With Rabbi Student's guidance, we did issue a very strong press release where Rabbi Class did comment on the educational issue, that we should leave alone the education, and we should allow, as a fundamental right of religious liberty and freedom, our parents to educate our children. That statement was picked up by a few Jewish publications. The press release was taken by the papers. We received phone calls on it, and we are reaffirming here today once again that the Rabbinical Alliance of America is on the record. The state of New York should stay away from the draconian proposed changes that have a disparate impact, the detrimental effect on the Jewish community and chinuch as we know it. As it is, we are fighting enough a cultural war, what should go into a curriculum. But even worse, will further wither and whittle away whatever time we have for Torah, for Gemara, for Yehadis, and we cannot allow the yeshiva that has successfully stopped assimilation and kept Dayers of proud Jews to have a reversal. So again, we affirm that position. We thank Rabbi Kless bringing to our attention. We go back to our shuls, we should go on the bemis, make the announcements. If you have not signed already a petition, make sure everybody signs. Every person signs. Bob is Zayd, is Elta Bob, is Alta Zayd, as Yinga mentioned. Everybody is mechuyev to sign. You know, I was one time asked, what's the point of protesting? Protesting means we cannot accomplish. We wind up losing. So the Medrash brings down, I saw Medrash Pliya, that when Terach put Avram, when Avram Avinu was put in the Kitzon Shalesh, along came an ant, and the ant was shooting a little bit of water. So they asked the ant, is it possible for you to shoot water? Is it possible for you to take out the flame? So the ant says, listen, I am not big enough to take out the fire. I have an obligation to protest. And on my level, what can I do? I have to shoot the water, the little spitball as we say, to take out the fire. Same thing over here. Not everybody's the head of a Jewish organization, a political club, a civic place, but every individual is a voter. Every individual is a yochid, a gavra. And every individual has an obligation on their ability to protest what's going on with the educational laws. So let's take a proclamation that every Jew who is of sound age of 18 or older, who has a right to vote, a right to voice their opinion, should, when they're high school age and over, to write that letter. Let us be not less than the ant that protested the Avla when Avram Avinu went to the Kitzon Shalesh. On that note, I want to thank our class again for opening this base medrash, for the Rosh Chodesh Sivan's seudah. Again, Sivan is Yom Hashishi, the extra hay, because the state education department has to understand that they're putting the world peace at danger. The world was created for Yom Hashishi, for Shavuos to learn Torah, and hopefully b'schus the upcoming Yom Tov Shavuos, there's been a shpan our state governmental officials not to make the error and to allow education to continue as it is properly done now in Messiah. On that note, could jump to all, have Chodesh to all. Rav Class, please assign us up by the benching.